Today we're going to go over Pontos' pre-release kit review. Now, what do I think about Pontos? I think his kit is very good, unlike the past few kits. However, there's one big thing I would like to address. It has happened again. A tank character is useless as tank, and it's a carry character. So Pontos is a carry character. Don't, think otherwise. He's actually very good. He power creeps a lot of kits. You can just read his kit, but I'll go over his kit individually now. So first off, they changed Divine Aequor to Bentos Aequor or Lightless Bottom. So we're going to call it Bottomless Aequor now. So it's canon that Pontos is a fucking bottom, fucking dirty degenerate. All you fucking gooners, enjoy. It's now Bottom Aequor, bottom blue. Okay, that's what I'm calling it. Bottomless Aequor. Because it's Lightless Bottom. I'm not calling it Bentos Aequor. No. It's Bottomless Blue. Okay? But let's look at his base stats. His base stats is above average. Again, the average baseline we're using is 120, 120, 120. That's the baseline average of stat in the game. So all of his stat line is above average, which is good. Coming from Little Saya, which is below average baseline stat. Again, this document I have for myself has all the new Awakeners come out and their base stat. So you can see like Saya is below average, 104, 104, 99. And we can go to Monchet, which is 126, 149, 126 for above average. Then we can go all the way back to Doricine, 132, 140, 116. So Pontos is above average. I think, is he actually higher than Doricine? Let's see. 130, 140. He almost beats Doricine in all three stats. Almost. So his Psyche Surge, it's actually good. Crit damage, damage amp. This is for the whales if you're going above E3. So he gains crit damage and damage amp, which is 2 out of the 3 best stats for a DPS besides crit rate, but he auto crits on some abilities and he does fixed damage, which I'll go over. So this is very good. This is similar to Caster. Caster also has the scaling with crit damage, damage amp. So whaling it out isn't good, and his whale effects are also really good, which I'll go cover later. So let's cover his kit and his purpose, which is Doricine Daft unit. Doricine Daft Pikmin unit. So let me just pull up a window of his kit, so you're not looking at the spreadsheet the entire time. And I'll also have the spreadsheet to the left. So let me just move the... it's good enough. Good enough. I'm going to explain what I wrote down, and those of you who pause already know what I wrote down. So this is Bottomless Aequor. This is his Soul Force talent. Again, only works in Arc 2. So if you're a new gamer and wondering why this is not working, it only works in Arc 2, which is garbage design in my opinion. It should work for all arcs if it's a Soul Forge. But again, don't like it, so you can just ignore this safely. So he has Racism, Kindred of Rapture. Now there are no Kindred tag at the moment. It's probably going to be a new unit, or they're going to rename the candy mobs. Well, I don't know how to pronounce the fucking names, dude. Okay, Relentless Hunt. Again, this is very good. If it takes an effect Arc 1, it doesn't. So when Gaunt Ravage deal damage, it also temporarily reduces target strength by 1 to 3% of Pontos' defense. So this is inconsequential most of the time, because Gaunt Ravage, there's not a lot of... this, it can take an effect 1 to 6 times if you have E2. Without Horla, of course. 1 to 6 times. So let's say it's 6 times, it's 6 to 18%. So his defense, for example, is 180, and it scales up to over 200 from Soul Forge levels, etc. So you're looking at a moderate strength down effect. Again, endgame mobs will do thousands of damage. So this doesn't seem that great, the bottom option for the strength down. However, for early game content, for easy mode, normal mode, it will be noticeable. Because Relentless Hut is very good strength down effect, minus 64, and it's really hard to even match up 64 with just this Soul Force aptitude on the Gaunt Ravage. And chances are you're not going to get 6 hits. You're probably going to play at 0 mana most of the time. So let's go over his Exalt. Actually, before we go over that, let's go over his whole gimmick, which is kill. And I have a gameplay segment, which I can explain the pros and cons of it. So, which ties in his Exalt. Now you see this, fixed damage equal to 6,000% technical damage. Really good. Now, Slay Gaunt, which is one of his generative cards, fixed damage, 2,000% technical damage. These are the highest scaling cards in terms of percentage numbers in the game, but that doesn't make them the strongest fucking cards in the game. It's because, you know why? Fixed damage means that he can't crit on those abilities, despite having very high crit damage. So his Exalt and his Slay Gaunt cannot crit. What you see is what you get, which is good for some people. Some people would prefer this. Why is this better for some people? Because you don't have to do any complicated math in regards to crit damage and technical damage scaling. It's just an easy multiplication of your technical damage. Unless you're using units like Corpo or Tulu, etc. So it is very easy math in game to figure out if you can one-shot kill with him compared to, let's say, Dorazine or Dath. It removes the RNG from calculating whether or not that card is gonna one-shot the enemy or not, which is the main problem with secure kill units like Daffodil or Dorazine. Now, there is one big caveat or downside to this, extreme scaling high technical damage cards, which is like the best technical scalers besides him now. It is G Murphy, and G Murphy is already used in a team. And then the second best technical scaler is Vortex. So one of those two does not, if you want to buff up Pontos, those are the two best technical scalers in the game in terms of pure value, because Corpo does shit, and her fucking pilot's clogged deck, and you're already having to deal with the Raid Gaunts cards. So you're not going to scale up technical damage from playing Corporal, for example. If you are going to use Corporal, you're going to use up her pilots if you're playing her with Pontos. So let's go in and let's talk about the final kill secure card. And boom, in game right now. So the main problem with it is that the unit needs to secure the kill. We can see this with Daffodil, Dorazine, other units. So let's show you what I mean. So this Exalt is going to kill this mob, and then almost this mob, but Saya's going to get the kill. So any kill done, so you think that it's going to kill these two mobs. You think it's going to generate 2 corpse stacks, it's only going to generate 1 corpse stacks. So it only generated 1 corpse stacks. Because you know why? It killed the last mob. However, the second mob dies to corrosion inflicted by Saya. So that is the thing about securing kills. So if you're using Saya, you don't use Saya with him. Because in the situation where corrosion procs, or with caster, with any corrosion procs, that means that unit will not secure the kill. Gaunt or Pontos will not secure the kill. And that applies to a couple of other things, which I'm a bit delayed to show you. But let's say it's technical damage. So you're going to think, oh, We want to red stance. We really want to red stance Gaunt, right? Oh, I don't know why I keep calling him Gaunt. It's because of the fucking cards. Pontos. We really want to red stance Pontos because of his wheel. And his wheel is very good. Let me show you his wheel. So his wheel, for example, strength down effect, and when switching to red stance, temporary crit damage increases by amount equal to 35% of the wielder's base crit damage, 3-turn cooldown. So his main damage card, which I'll show you here, his main damage card, Gaunt Ravage, outside of his ults and outside of his things, which is auto crit, which is very good. You don't have to build a crit rate on him. Auto crit, multi hit, AoE. So if you're red stancing, playing this card, I play the game a lot. I know what I'm talking about. So when you play Doricine in blue, when you play Daffodil in blue, if you red stance, if you play their cards and the tentacle kills the mobs, it does not count as a kill. The tentacles are its own separate thing. So what Gaunt Ravage does is that it triggers X additional time. Guaranteed crit AoE damage. So what does this mean in game? It's going to deal damage, guaranteed crit. And if you red stance, the tentacle is going to hit once. And then it will trigger again. The tentacle will hit again. It will trigger again. The tentacle will hit again. What does this mean? If they don't change how tentacles kill stealing works. So if you're playing this with full Arif, with his E2, for example, that's going to be 6 hits, 6 tentacle hits. So it's going to be hit, tentacle hit, hit, tentacle hit, hit, tentacle hit, hit, tentacle hit. At any point in that sequence, after playing Gaunt Ravage, the tentacles could steal your kill if you're in red stance. Now, how do you avoid this? Easy. You play it in blue stance. But then you don't take advantage of his wheel, and it is less damage overall. So that's a big downside through his gameplay gimmick. Because you're going to red stance, and since it's multiple hits, it's multiple chances of getting your kill stolen. Now, it doesn't matter if it was like one big hit. If this card was instead of trigger X additional time, like all the damage is up front, like these cards play first and then tentacles trigger after. That would be great. However, this means that this card will have a big chance of cucking you in red stance of your kills. Meanwhile, his Exalt, everything is the same. Like, anything that deals damage, you could get cucked if you red stance tentacles. So, tentacle is a bit harder to get that last kill, which is why these fixed damage are really nice, because you know if it's going to kill. So that's a thing you have to worry about when playing Gaunt for his kills. Now let's talk about his actual kill mechanic, which is the whole reason why we're here, his Gaunts. I'm going to keep calling him Gaunt because that's just in my mind now. His fucking generates Gaunt cards. And Gaunt seems like a great Awakener name. So, Gaunt. Every time a kill is secured, you generate 1 permanent Gaunt. Up to 3 Gaunts can be generated per battle. Now, Gaunt cards are Raid, Vex, Slay, which does these effects, which are quite nice. This is whole gimmick. However, you really need Draw Awakener because you can't rely on Gauntlet's Call alone. So, basically, every time he kills, he gets stronger. Just like Daff, just like Doricine. So, that's the third unit that with every kill, he gets stronger. Now, how many times can you trigger this in an exploration stage? Well, in D-Type, the endgame game mode, Wave 2 and Wave 6, there are 6 optional mob battles. That's the max. outside of train. In train, it is obviously 18. So, 6. You can get 6 battles times 3. That's 18 gaunts you can generate before the boss. 18 gaunts maximum. So he's not good onto a straight to boss fight long exploration stages. Wave 2, wave 5. So that would mean that he is going into the harder D-tide waves. That's what he's designed around. Like Caster's exploration, for example. So you want to use him in the longer, harder D-tide stages. And what does that mean? You have to invest in him. And they clearly took that in mind by having good plus 12 and OE effects compared to, let's say, Saya. Because Saya's OE, the last unit, OE and plus 12 effect were fucking dog shit. And actually, the last couple of units are fucking dog shit. Vortex was dog shit too. Like, you never see me using it. I clear over all the time. Like, her OE and her plus 12 effect is fucking dog shit. Not worth the investment, per se. It's usable. All of them are usable, but they're not worth the investment. These plus 12 and plus 4 effects are really good. That's bearing the lead. I'll keep talking about this kit. So, his Gaunt cards, which he generates, can be upgraded. So, Pontos buff cards. Yep. When generating Gaunts, if there are more than 6 permanent Gaunts, randomly upgrade one into conjoined Gaunts, which makes it cost more, but double triggers. And each conjoined Gaunts count as 2 cards in a deck. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. If all Gaunts randomly upgrade. So, the thing about this is, it doesn't say if it permanently upgrades. So I'm curious when the unit releases if it permanently upgrades, meaning the next exploration stage. Because it says generating permanent Gaunts. If there are more, randomly upgrade. Normally, it should be says permanently randomly upgrades into one conjoined Gaunt. So I don't know if this is going to be permanent for exploration. That will decide if he's S tier or not, to be honest. Because if it's that, you can control the flow and move forward. So that's really good. So these can double trigger. Now this Vex Gaunt, very good strength down effect, very high value, is better than fucking Wanda because it's 1 mana and it can double trigger for another, and it gets cheaper with higher Enlightenments, and it does technical scaling, which is better than his Soul Forge. His Soul Forge is so inconsequential. So because it only triggers off of his Gaunt's Ravage. So his rouse effect. If you're using him as a DPS, you're gonna rouse him, and you have to use him as a DPS. That's the problem with these units. I don't understand why they keep doing this. So this is a hold up. Let me explain what I mean, but why they keep doing this. By the way, so this is a Warden unit, by the way. He has the Warden tag. What does Warden mean? Tank. He's a tank unit. Or debuffer. Tank debuffer. And as a tank debuffer, he's one of the fucking worst tanks I've ever seen in the game. He's a damage dealer. I don't know what the devs are smoking every time. Like, every time they release a support unit, quote unquote, is a DPS unit. And you notice why I keep going over his kit, getting the last kills, getting everything. You're like, oh, this must be a carry unit, players. This must be a DPS unit, players. No. This is a tank unit. It has the Warden tag. So they keep doing this. Like a fucking Tawil has the support tag. Yep, DPS. Caster has the support carry. Yep. It happens again and again. And this is like more outrageous because at least Tawil and Caster have like really, really good support options. Tawil copying his cards, strength down, like barrier, all that. Caster has the insane shields, everything, so they can be played as support. Now, he has his strength down on his Exalt, which is not good enough as a support, to be honest. And he has He is a Warden, which means he's a shielder, right? Like Corpo. Even Corpo's a DPS, sort of. So, his 2 costs is his main shield ability here. It only shields once a battle, by the way, guys. So his Gaunt card, which is his 2-cost skill card, one release first time in battle. Generate 3 different Gaunt cards in hand and gain 106 shields. Otherwise, draw 3 Gaunt cards. That's right, his only shield skill card as a Warden unit. Again, if you know the dictionary, Warden, you think of a big tank character? This is his one shield card, skill card, that triggers once. Why do they give him the Warden tag? Just call him, yeah, this is actually a DPS unit. This is actually a DPS unit? Because, this a Warden? Warden? Warden what fucking shield? Again, he has like fucking 10 kill cards. 10 cards that does damage and like -1 shield card. Basically. Okay, that's very nilly. Sorry, going off tangent. But yeah, I would accept giving him the support tag. Because, again, he can generate insight, alien miss, strength down, tentacle damage, all this. He does everything more than he does shielding. Shielding is like the last reason you would put Pontos on your team. It is literally the very last thing you would fucking do. Like, oh, what are you doing with these tags? Who is in charge of writing these tags for new players? A new player's gonna pull this unit. Oh, Warden, I need a tank unit. Oh, Warden? Where are my shields, fucking Pontos? Like, just give him the support tag. Yeah, I would accept that. He's another support DPS. But yeah. So, his 3 Gaunt cards, quite nice. Again, same scaling. So, Wrath of the Abyss. This is every 3 Gaunts in deck. Relentless Hunt gains 1 stack of Pack Hunt. So that means you need 9 Gaunts in order to max trigger the Pack Hunt every time, but it carries over after battle. So you don't really need that many kills. So temporary strength effect of Relentless Hunt, plus triggered up to 3 times per turn. Yeah, next Relentless Hunt. Very good. His strength down effect for this is very good. It's probably like the strongest strength down unit besides Tawul. Because Tawul, can infinite for 4 wings, basically. So it's probably the second best after Tawul. He fucking destroys the one in the kit department. It's fucking hilarious. So, this is guaranteed crit. Gain 8 alien miss. This is a very good card. Gaunt Word's Call. If released for the first time in the battle, generate 3 different Gaunt cards. Again, I went over that. For every 4 permanent Gaunts, upgrade 1 of them. So again, very, very good. You're going to have 18 for an exploration stage. Max. It's less than 18 in practice. Why is it less than 18 in practice players, even though I'm going off tangent again? Is because sometimes you fight an elite mob, which is only 1 unit who doesn't spawn mobs. Sometimes you fight mob waves, which is only 2 mobs. And sometimes you even fight mob waves with 1 mob. So it's going to be less than 18 in practice. And obviously you're not going to always get the last hit on fucking Pontos. Let's go over his Enlighten and what do you need. E2 minimum. E2 minimum. E3 is nice, not needed. And his OE and plus 12 are insanely good. Probably the best. Probably some of the best fucking OE and plus 12 effects in the game. So, I'll probably replace Dorsey him, because this is an easier thing than fucking Dorsey. I have plus 12 Dorsey. I believe in Pontos more than I believe in Dorsey so far. So, E1. Why is E1 essential? It provides his scaling. So every 1% crit damage provided by Pontos and his equipped Wheel of Destiny and Covenant The fixed damage of Slay Gaunt increases by 0.2%, and the base strength effect of Relentless Hunt additionally increased by 0.1%. Gaunt Ravage. Base damage and increased number of extra triggers from X to X plus 1. So, E1, mandatory. Just read it. That's good. Base strength down effect and fixed damage for every 1% crit damage. Again, it's if the more money you have, the stronger he will get, because obviously same with the Warrior Scene, you get to build more crit damage. So his E2 is his actual bread and butter. Why? Because Gaunt Ravage is a good guaranteed crit damage card. Auto crit. So this buffs it and increases the number of extra triggers from X to X plus 1. And this is the mandatory portion. The X plus 1 effect. Because in practice, from playing the game enough times, most of the time you're playing X cards, you're not playing it at max mana, you're actually playing it at 0 mana. Most of the time you're playing at 0 mana in practice, and what this lets you do, it lets you actually take advantage of the card. That means that you can play it at 0 mana, and it still does something. It won't do nothing if you play it at 0 mana. Because, in theory, whatever team you're going to use them on, there's a lot of teams I'm cooking right now, I'll test them all and show you the best. So, in practice, this plus 1 effect will let you play it at 0 mana, and you're going to be at 0 mana most of the time for the last hit. So, yeah, this is insane. His E2 is essential. Now, his E3 is nice. Strike and defense each draw 1 Gaunt, with each effect triggering up to once per turn. Gaunt gains Aftershock, which means when it's discarded, it's 1 mana cheaper. So you don't have to always play Gaunt cards. So this is nice. Very strong. Get it if you can. However, you're on a budget. You can skip it. So let's go over his whale effects. These are some of the best OEs and plus 12. Let me go over my mind every unit that's been released so far. This is the best plus 12 effect since G Murphy, since the Annie character. Yeah, there is no OE or plus 12 effect since G Murphy. G Murphy's the only one which I would say is as the same tier, because Vortex, OE, and plus 12 isn't as good, not worth it. Sias, obviously Sias not worth it. Most people don't even XL on her. So, Sias not worth it, or even Rouser, because you're obviously rousing your DPS and she's a support character. And you're actually going to rouse Pontos. Zoo is okay, but again, you can run her without it, and it's not as good as this. Yeah. This is the best OE and plus 12 effect since. Because fixed damage is tripled. So this, his bread and butter Exalt, it's instead of doing 6,000% technical damage, it now does 18,000% technical damage. So this is obviously great. And if this secures a kill, additionally generates 1 Gaunt. So this is quite insane. So, because right here, 1 Gaunt. So, on a boss fight, you can generate multiple Gaunts by just OEing. And it reduces the cost of all Gaunts by 1. So, you don't have to discard your Gaunts. Yeah, this is insane. But the thing about this is that it might be even stronger than it reads, because I'm noticing a lack of a specific wording they like to use. Because it says reduce the cost of all Gaunts by 1. It does not say reduce the cost of all Gaunts in hand by 1. It does not say reduce the cost of all Gaunts in deck. So it's either going to mean all Gaunts in hand or all Gaunts period. If it's all Gaunts period, which is what I think, unless it's really, really poor translation, which, could be. This makes it so that you don't have to wait to play the Gaunts, because they can all be 0 cost after the OE. If this is permanently reduce the cost of all gaunts by 1, his OE is insane, and you basically need his OE. If that is what this means. Again, we have to wait until to get it released. So his rouse effect lets him charge up his strike and defense more. But the real insane thing is down here. The number of gaunts required to gain 1 pack hunt stack is reduced from 3 to 2. That means you can easily get 9 stacks of pack hunt really, really, really easily before the boss fight. This makes his exploration a lot easier. A lot easier. Because instead of, 3, instead of greening Tyrion's 2, again. So this plus whole effect is insane for this. It will not buff the end game Pontos. What does that mean? If you are playing full exploration train mode, a plus 12 Gaunt and a plus 4 Gaunt at the very last boss is the same. Because you're going to reach the cap before anything else. You're going to reach the very cap, 9 stacks, normally anyway. However, what it helps is getting to the boss. So it helps the early game of Pontos in the exploration stage. Because you're always going to rouse him first if you're playing him as a carry, which most of you guys will. Now let's go over his wheel in detail. Now that I went over his full kit. So boom, boom, down. So this is his wheel. Strength down effect, 35%. This is a must pull for Pontos, and it's actually a good wheel. Because the bottom effect, for the current exploration, each kill increases the wielder's fixed alienness recovery at turn end by 2, stacking up to 10 times. So 10 kills. So this is a universal crit damage wheel. The first universal crit damage wheel since, let's say, Daffodil. That's probably going to be meta for whales. Just because of the fixed alienness recovery, which maxes out at 20. 20 mana each turn. So you can use this on a lot of different units if you decide to whale out on this wheel. Like units that want to exile, because 20 alienness at turn's end is nothing to scoff at. Also, fixed alienness recovery. So all of the old units got buffed with this wheel. Because this wheel is assuming you're going to use it on Pontos, which is 150 base alienness. So if you're using it on not Pontos, although Awakeners with 100 alienness to exalt, who want to exalt, that does get killed. Let's say Doricine 24 Daffodil, just for the 3 examples that really want to exalt. That means that they can regen passively their exalt every turn. And that's really, 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 really good. So this wheel is very good. I would say B or A tier wheel for sure. So yeah, that's his wheel. So I do have a couple of theories on what teams. Obviously, his best team is, if you're not fucking retarded, you already figured it out. It includes G Murphy, because G Murphy can, draw. But that's a waste because you're going to use G Murphy. Again, I'm going to showcase the quote-unquote best version, but at the end, the actual D-Tide version. Again, the actual D-Tide version is assuming you have the other meta team. So I'm going to use supports and stuff that are less contested. So, in a best in slot Pontos team, you already figured it out. G Murphy and not dies. not dies. So this is going to be the first not dies best in slot team, because Gaunt Word's Call, the good effect only triggers the first time of battle. So if you dupe this, it's just a lot of draw Gaunt cards, which is nice, but it's not worth wasting a dice, and it's not even the best in slot. So it's probably going to be G Murphy, Riker, Why Riker for the draw? For the draw, because Riker has the search draw for the Gauntlet card. That's probably going to be his absolute best in slot team that I'm not going to run. But I'm probably going to run something more minimal, such as Cassia, for her draw, because he really wants to draw. Because the thing about Gauntlet's card is like you're not guaranteed to start with this in your fucking hand, and you need to find this on the first turn to get started. Because if your hand is empty and dead, and it's the first turn of the battle, you're gonna get fucked. You're gonna get fucked at endgame. So you need something that can mitigate it. So you need draw units. So draw units are what he probably enjoys. Riker Cassia, or let's say search units like G Ramona or Ramona. So search units or draw units. So yeah, that's probably gonna be his best in slot. And you probably need a real shielder. You probably need a real shielder at some point. A real warding unit that's not Pontos. Yeah, that's the end of my kit review. I'll go over his design and whatnot this weekend when he releases.